Alright, I want to talk to you all about a sort of thing, a sort of actual event that happened when I was playing a game. That was, by the way, the game was a piece of cake, so don't mind me if I'm eating a cake. The game was about Pokemon. Pokemon, yeah, you had Pokemon Red, you had Pokemon Blue, and you had Pokemon Yellow. 3 games, 1 generation. But the thing is, it was so goddamn buggy. It was so glitchy. With a lot of mistakes, were a lot of actual bugs and stuff. They didn't have the chance or didn't want to do a Rev 1. If I remember myself correctly, but I think they didn't made any new revisions. But the thing is, with this game, the European, the USA, the Japan, or whatever editions all had those glitches. And the one glitch I'm talking about is the Old Man glitch. The Old Man glitch was basically a glitch that you needed to talk to a man in the second city from the beginning of the game. But then you need to have access to the grass patch in... I need to come up with the thing. You need to have access to the grass patch and... No, at the actual bridge. The Nugget Bridge. You need to have access to the Nugget Bridge to go fly over there first of all. Or you need to have access... you need to have access to the Nugget Bridge, or you need to have access to the Cinnabar Island, the right coast. When you have those, when you have the land and then click and then have those land water thing. Those were the 2 things. There were also some other places you can get it. Oh yeah, by Fuchsia City on the right side, you had also... What is this? Oh, okay. You had also... you had 3 spots that I knew about. But the Old Man glitch is as follows. First, you're gonna get going to be inside of a trainer. But you need to be timing that. And also you need to be a minimum amount of spots. It needs to be any spot after 1. So, for example, if you have 1 person standing here, there needs to be 1 spot in the middle free. If you're going alongside the trainer and there's no spot free, you cannot perform this glitch. But the thing is, when you have this, and you're standing 1+ spot of the person or the trainer that is inside of your direction, you need the time. You can do it you can do that in Game Boy, you can do it on an emulator, you can do that everywhere. Doesn't matter. But on the Game Boy, it's a bit harder timing because the inputs are a bit delayed. Where emulators are more faster that way, so the inputs are more stable. But I was able to try it on the Game Boy, and I succeeded like big time. Because why did I wanted to use Old Man glitch in that game? I wanted to complete the Pokédex with just 1 game. It was possible. But disaster struck. And I want to investigate the code today that basically made my game unplayable. I was searching for my cartridge in my house. Wasn't able to find it yet, but maybe later. Pokemon Red, 40 euros I think, in a convention. But the thing is, I had Pokemon Blue back then, but it got corrupted. And how do you mean corrupted? Yes, if I use a text box of any kind, it freezes the game. It's basically the save was corrupted, aka RAM is corrupted, or the ROM was corrupted. Basically, you have 2 things. There are 2 things. RAM is random access memory. Basically, for that in the Pokemon on the Blue, Red, and Yellow, and all the cartridges that had a battery CR 2032 or 36, I don't know specifically. You can Google that real quick. Images soon. Is very funny because your RAM needs to have power in order to save. Your RAM can be saved. The RAM or the save can be placed or saved into the RAM section, the thing. I will get those images later. But there's a RAM stick thing, plague. I don't know what's called. Plague. You have the ROM plague. The ROM is read-only memory. Read-only memory cannot be modified in any way possible. You can replace ROMs, but jeez, my chair, what the frick? That was basically my chair, chat. Look at this, my fuck. No, sorry. No cursing on this channel. But basically, there was a thing that is called RAM, and RAM is random access memory. That can be written or read and write. It can read and write, but a random read-only memory can only read. But how did it go that I used those glitches like a lot of times to get all the Pokemons based on an index number, which I'm gonna include later in the video, is basically very, very weird that the text boxes that's basically stored in ROM memory, not in RAM. The RAM is basically getting a sort of a like a cell phone kind of thing. Here, ROM is basically text box. RAM is asking, oh, can I read my text box here? Oh, no, apparently not. I'm going to stop the game. Why is that? Basically, the thing is, the text box is a very important thing in those 3 games in the Gen 1 base for Game Boy. Why? If you use that glitch, the old man glitch is as followed, as I said. You need to go in a trainer with a spot. But if you time it correctly and you pause the menu on a specific point, you cannot move your cursor. But you need to position it before you do that. But you need to go to Pokemon. In the Pokemon menu you can navigate, but you can't normally, if I word correctly, you can't navigate in the menu, but you can navigate in the Pokemon because that's a basic other kind of file that is not going to be sort of locked. You go there. You fly to a place. The next thing you do, it's very funny. Why the text box, you know later. You're going to find a Ditto. If you want to complete the whole Pokédex, by the way, you can do that with arbitrary code extension. Yes, Ace. There's a whole list. Glitch City had a whole freaking arbitrary code extension list on which Pokemon is going to be the index number. The index number is defined by special stat. You don't have any special attack, special defense in Gen 1. It's attack, defense, speed, special. That's it. 4 things. Oh yeah, attacks, defense, speed, special. That's it, yeah. But it was determined the last Pokemon you saw with the specific value of the index number, the hexadecimal to be exact, or the decimal. You can do whatever you want. It's just the same number, but then different. The special value is defined by the Pokemon you're going to encounter on the specific spots that I told earlier. Brightport Fuchsia City, the Nugget Bridge, or the Cinnabar Island Coast. If you, for example, want I can grab a example real quick. I'm going to switch over real quick to a scene. That is the biggest list. It is like for arbitrary code extension and shit. So for example, I want to go back real quick. For example, I have now the list with me so you can see. If you want, for example, to catch specifically, for example, a Mew. Mew, that's cool. Okay. You need to have a special stat of the Pokemon that is having a special stat of your own team of 21. When you have that in front of your party and Ditto use Transform, it's going to copy the exact stats, also the 21. So you don't need to catch it specifically, you can also run from it, but then it will register the last special stat you've encountered. Then you're going to those 3 spots and boom, a menu opens. Why is the menu opening when I don't press a start button? It's because you cancel basically a trainer encounter. And when you click on the start button, when it clicks on the start button and you start it up and you close it again, you can encounter a Pokemon based on the decimal values, but it skips no, it doesn't skip the text box. Here's the point. You're going to the battle with a Pokemon with specials, with a special stat decimal of the big list from glitchcity.com, .wiki. But you finish the battle. First of all, there's a weird thing. You get a text box afterward from the trainer that had that text box. If you close it, it doesn't matter, it doesn't work, it's fine. But why is it that I cannot play my game anymore? Because every text box is appearing, the game freezes and just stops working. I'm going to investigate that later, but for now, we know the backstory. The backstory is the way how I played my game in Pokemon Blue, Pokemon Red and Yellow. I think Pokemon Blue and Red are the best ones for the glitch, in my opinion, I think. You can both do one. You can catch every Pokemon in existence. But why did the glitch for me happen that my text box was glitched out and I wasn't able even to start a new game? I wasn't even able to start a new game. When I start a new game, for a sequence, Professor Oak is trying to talk to you. Welcome? No. Professor Oak is just saying, not welcome, your game freezes. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to investigate this. But stick around to the next fucking video, because I am going to say you how it happened. I'm going to search in the code why this happened, and if I can reproduce the exact bug what I had. This is not an official Game Boy, but on this sort of thing, when you put it down, you turn it on, your game is playing, and why did it happen?